I've done probably every side hustle that exists.
I love that. You have over 50 YouTube channels. That blows my mind alone.
My media team is pretty massive. I think it's like almost 50 people now.
How would you explain your journey and story if you had a few minutes?
I went to UCLA, did psychobiology as my major, applied to med school, didn't get in, got denied from like 20 different schools. So if I were starting out today, I would probably do some type of consulting or agency service that gives a lot of value to business owners. In the current climate, like AI, if you want to spend a few weeks learning how to build AI agents, then you can basically take those skills and help business owners implement it into their own business. You can save literally 80-90% on your payroll costs. And there's like amazing people in all over the world. We used to operate at pretty crazy margins, like 95% plus margins.
If you had to start over, you just had a laptop, but you have very little money. We'll say you have $1,000 to your name. What are you doing?
If you're just good at something, you can make money from it.
Welcome to the show, man. I'm stoked that you're on. There's so much that we could talk about. I would love in this conversation to talk about side hustles and ways that people can make money. I mean, you make a lot of money a lot of different ways, and so I would love to cover that. I would love to also talk about, different investing hacks. And I also know that you have a company where you help many business owners be able to buy back their time with VAs and have a business there. So there's a lot that we can cover and more, but welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, so before we jump into the tactics and strategies, why don't you give a little bit of backstory of like who you are? Someone doesn't just come out of nowhere and do this. You've been doing this for a while. You've been doing YouTube. You've been very successful with content. How would you explain your journey and story if you had a few minutes, sharing kind of context on how
Sure.
how you're doing what you're doing?
Yeah, so my name is Charlie. I'm 32 years old. I live in Orange County. I grew up not thinking I'd ever become an entrepreneur, to be honest. My parents wanted me to go to med school. I went to UCLA, did psychobiology as my major, applied to med school, didn't get in, got denied from like 20 different schools. Eventually, then I was like, what am I going to do? So I started just doing side hustles, and I've always been really into like saving money, been super frugal my entire life. So that got me into investing, just making money in different creative ways. I've done probably every side hustle that exists. Almost.
I love that.
And then I started making content actually in 2008, which is a super long time ago, doing music covers. In 2017, I think I turned that music channel into my current main channel, which is just called Charlie Chang. I think we have like 1.3 million subscribers. Since 2020, I've just been doing that pretty much full time, and we've made hundreds of videos, and yeah, that's where we are today.
If someone was to ask, like, how do you make your money? Is it making videos? You have affiliate deals? Like, how do you make your money right now?
Right now, I make the majority of my money through affiliates.
Okay.
So we make content, we talk about different products, and then if people use our links to buy them or whatever, then we make a commission.
And you've also had many videos go viral. How many years ago was this when you would just go up to random people and ask what they do for a living?
Yeah, I do that sometimes, but our channel goes through phases. Like I got started doing music, and then we started doing like stimulus content back in 2020, and then I did a lot of stock, crypto stuff, and then we started doing more business. And yeah, the street interviews, that's probably one of the most like fun things that we've done on that channel.
What is there? The most memorable, it's been like the most memorable conversation or piece of content that you've made? Because you have a lot and it can be overwhelming. It can be overwhelming going to your channel. Like, where do you begin? Where would you recommend someone begin, or when they hit your channel? I
guess whatever interests you. So most of the content we make revolves around money in some way, whether it be like saving money or making more money. So I would just have a look and see, because we make content on like a ton of different topics.
On the street interviews, was there any interview that was just wild, or when you look back, you're like, I cannot believe that happened?
Let's see. We interviewed some OnlyFans people in Bali, Indonesia. So that was crazy. I think that video has like 1 million or 2 million views. I hope she's okay, because I don't think OnlyFans is like legal there.
Oh wow!
But I think she was originally from Australia. That comes to mind. We talked to so many incredible people. I've met tons of like friends also doing interviews. Like, we'll stay connected. So it's definitely been like, if you can talk to more people, whoever it may be, like, you'll learn a lot.
Yeah, and I know you're very humble. Carlton Dennis, who's a mutual friend of ours, is also crushing it on YouTube. He told me like years ago, he's like, Charlie is the secret guy behind the scenes. Like he makes things happen. You're very well connected. You're very well respected, and so what you're doing is incredible, man.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Let's talk about making money. One of the number one questions I get is, Caleb, where should I invest my money? And I start looking at people's financial situations, and I realize that people are, I think, investing too early before they're maximizing their ability to make income. And so this concept of side hustles, there's a debate. There's some people are like, go all in on one thing and be great at that one thing, and then obviously we're in like gig economy where people are doing different things. You mentioned early on in this conversation that you've learned and almost done every side hustle you can imagine. So
Yeah.
I would love a master class or how you think about side hustles, and I'm just gonna let you go, and I'll ask questions. But
Sure.
I would love, like, tell me what I don't know about side hustles, or give me the framework of how Charlie thinks.
I'm sure you know everything I know, but this is my take on it. What's worked for me is just trying a lot of different things, learning by doing those things, and then figuring what is going to stick and what you're really good at. So that's literally just been me since I can remember. Stacking skills by doing side hustles that aren't necessarily things you're going to do forever, but you're going to learn a lot from doing it. It's okay if it fails. You'll learn that skill in some future business. And it just allows you to try a lot of things and see what you're good at. So that's pretty much that's my journey. That's what's worked for me. I know a lot of people, they'll just pick one thing and then only do that thing and get really good at it. But for me, I get bored easily. I also didn't know what I wanted to do.
That's right.
I feel
Most
like,
people don't.
Yeah, a lot of people find themselves in a similar situation in college and also out of college. That's what I would do again. It's worked for me, and yeah, I think it can work for other people too.
Okay, so it's 2025. What are some side hustles that people should be looking into, or categories? Like I know you had a video of 12 high-paying side hustles while
Yeah.
you're keeping your 9 to 5. Like, I just want to know.
I think providing services is like the best business for anyone new to start. So if I were starting out today, I would probably do some type of consulting or like agency service that gives a lot of value to business owners. So in the current climate, like AI, right? If you want to spend a few weeks learning how to build AI agents, learning like NAN, there's so many of these platforms out there, then you can basically take those skills and help business owners implement it into their own business. And that's going to provide massive value.
Do you recall, like, on the 12 high-paying side hustles, like, what are some of the other categories? So you have consulting, you have AI. I know that you do a lot of affiliate stuff.
Affiliate is good, but it takes a while to get started.
Yeah.
Right. So I think on that video, it was mostly like some service-based business stuff. So tutoring, like photography, building websites for people, stuff like that.
Is there any, like, best kept secret? Is it the AI? Because I imagine, like, in the world we live in, I believe every company is going to have AI representation, like, or they're going to just not exist. Do you think, like, if someone came to you and said, Charlie, I'm hungry, like, I want to do whatever it takes to get to the next level, what would you tell them when it comes to the skill sets and side hustles that they should look into?
I think AI is the perfect one. It's because it's always changing, right? Like the tech today is going to be old in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
There's always new stuff coming up. So, and it's also something that most people can learn pretty quickly. And most people aren't going to, a lot of business owners, they're not going to spend the time to research how they can implement. They should be, but they aren't. And that's where you can come in and sort of just, even with a 4-week knowledge, like I think you can create pretty big impacts on a company just by telling them, you should install this, you should automate this, do an audit of their current systems. Where can you put AI into it to make everything more efficient?
Yeah. Is there any other, like, first principles or thoughts that you have about making money? Because I think that's been a big part. The videos that have gone viral is you're always asking people, like, how they can afford this Tesla or how they can afford their lifestyle. So it's like, what have you learned there? And then my next question is going to be around, how you think about AI and systems and all. But I want to just, is there anything else that you want to mention as it relates to making money? And as people are listening to this, like, anything else from Charlie on the making?
I think a big takeaway I've gotten from interviewing so many people is there's a billion ways to make money. I've talked to people that do pretty much everything, and if you're just good at something, you can make money from it. High value skills, super, super important. You can make money from anything by creating a team and having other people do work for you, right? But for most people, I think learning a high value skill that can generate, let's say, at least $50 to $100 per hour, and then turning that into a service, and then you can always scale by hiring a team to help you, do that service for other people. I think that's the best way to do it.
Awesome. Let's talk about AI. You've made some videos on DeepSeek and AI processes. You even said that it changes every 2 weeks. How do you view AI and the person that's watching this or listening to this? Like, how should they be thinking about AI right now in 2025?
I would honestly be a little scared about it. I know I'm a little bit wary, especially when it comes to content. You can literally go to a YouTube channel and tell AI, look at this channel, remake every single video on their whole catalog. It's not going to be as good probably, but you can automate it, right? So like when it comes to content creation, I don't know. I don't really know what's going to happen, but I'm a little bit worried, especially when it comes to things that can be automated, which is almost everything.
Yeah, yeah.
I'd say if you're a business owner and you're not using AI, you're going to get left in the dust. So like if you're a business owner, you should be spending at least 1 or 2 hours per day, like reading up on AI, looking at tutorials, seeing how you can implement it in your own business. That's one of the highest ROI things you can be doing with your time.
What does that look like for you?
I watched a lot of YouTube videos, tutorials, podcasts. I think those are the main ones.
And how are you using AI right now in your businesses?
We're basically making a lot of things more efficient. So we make hundreds of videos per month, and we like to track stats. So we're building out AI automations that can track a lot of the data. We use it a lot in our content creation. So using platforms like Opus or Submagic or Descript for our, there's a lot of like AI editing tools like that. That helps a lot. I use ChatGPT a lot to help me. Just like I use ChatGPT basically as like an assistant. I always have it open on my computer. So I have the app, and then when it's there, I'll know like I can just talk to it whenever and just get some advice. It's like the smartest thing in the world.
Yep. So I think of where AI is going, and before that, Tim Ferriss wrote a book, 4 Hour Work Week, and he talked about the power of VAs, virtual assistants. And I remember back when reading that, I got a VA, and I was just like, my eyes were open to the leverage that a person could help you. No matter how successful you were, his whole concept was like, buy back your time in that way. You have a company that helps people like pair VAs with businesses or individuals. I'd love for you to unpack that. And then I'm looking for, how does virtual assistants and AI work together? Is AI threatening the VA world? Like, are they terrified because they're like, this just does what I do cheaper and better? But I first of all want to hear about paired, and then I want to understand your frameworks of how you think about VAs, and then I want to understand VAs and AI and how they work together.
Sure. Yeah, so that's a business that we started about 2 years ago, me and my business partner. My media team is pretty massive. I think it's like, I wouldn't say massive, but it's big. It's like almost 50 people now. And we hire a lot of overseas people. He's hired a lot of overseas people too. So we were like, feel like more businesses should be doing this, right? Like logically it makes a lot of sense. You can save literally 80-90% on your payroll costs. And there's like amazing people in all over the world. So it doesn't make sense to only hire locally, right? You're really limiting your talent choices. So we decided to create an agency that does this for other businesses. We focus mostly on Indonesia because that's where we had a lot of luck with our own talent. And yeah, it's been going well. I think AI it's going to affect the recruiting game, but it's actually good for most people. And the reason for this is because if you can hire like a project manager or a virtual assistant, they're like another brain to manage AI for you. So they can utilize AI themselves and multiply their output, and you're multiplying your output, your leverage, by hiring people, right? So in effect, it's like it compounds. And the overall efficiency when you hire VAs that know AI, it's insane.
And a lot of your VAs that you hire are know how to use AI.
A lot of them do, yeah, but we also recommend like you should train whoever you hire on your team. Even if they're in person, even if they're overseas, like they should be trained on AI.
Give me an example of different roles that VAs overseas can play a role, not just in your own life, but people that you've paired them with.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, let's say you're hiring a project manager that helps run your YouTube channel, right? That project manager can use ChatGPT for a lot of different things. They can run AI softwares for you because all these AI things, like they need someone to run it, at least for now, right?
Yeah.
And if you just teach them, then you can sort of mimic yourself just by teaching them AI because like you're not going to find a lot of these qualities maybe in someone else because if you're the founder, like you can't just duplicate yourself perfectly, but AI is making it a lot more possible and they can get a lot closer to you than you think.
Yeah. What roles would you say that they should work in, and what roles would you be like, yeah, this would not be great for VAs?
So for VAs, virtual assistants, we don't only do VAs.
Okay.
Like we're big on any role can be hired overseas.
Any
right?
role.
Like our head of operations is overseas.
Okay.
And he's amazing. We've done like sales people, we've done creative people, we've done managers, we've done executive people. Like
Okay.
you can hire any role overseas.
Video producers.
Video producers, editors, video hosts, like
Okay.
anything. There's a lot of people with amazing English.
Like I would imagine some people are like, "Hey, I just need to hire someone and they're going to solve my issues," when really they have bad systems and
Right.
expectations and they're not clear, and so it's almost like an amplifier. What are mistakes that people make when they try to get into this game?
Yeah, like you just said, a lot of people think they can just onboard someone really quickly and then they'll solve all their issues. But it does really amplify like any shortcomings in the business. If your processes aren't in place, if your systems aren't set up, if you don't actually have like good tasks for them to do and a good way to keep them accountable and stuff like that, it's going to show, right? Like no worker is perfect. And so that's something we stress a lot, especially for people that we work with. The onboarding process is very important. And then also like having those SOPs, systems in place.
Yeah. What's average salary? I'm sure it's a range like anything, but what are you looking to pay when you do something like this?
Yeah, it depends on the country. I'd say for like Indonesia, most people we're hiring for clients are maybe like $700 to $1,500 a month full time. And then Latin America is a little bit higher, but only like 10-20% higher. South Africa is a bit higher than that. I'd say maybe 1.5 to 3K a month full time. But yeah, if you compare those to the comparable salary in the US, it's like,
It's unbelievable.
yeah.
And how are you using technology, VAs, AI when it comes to investing and growing your wealth?
Oh man, I probably don't use that much tech. I'm a
Okay.
very simple, when it comes to investing, I'm pretty simple.
Okay, give me your framework on how does Charlie think about investing?
Well, I'm more of a passive investor. So I do have some individual stocks, but not that many. And I'd say, especially now, I just put money into the S&P 500. I know it's a boring answer, but I find that if I, let's say, put money into shit coins or individual companies that are more volatile, I'm gonna focus on it. I'm gonna spend mental energy, and then that makes me not able to focus as much on building the business,
Yep.
which is where the real wealth comes in.
So and you don't have to give me any details, but I want to just understand how you think, like you're deciding what to spend, what to reinvest in your business, what to grow. So you make money. What do you do from there? Like how do you decide what's reinvested, what's personally spent? I know you take health very seriously, mental health and all, and then how you invest. Because what I'm hearing is put my money in the S&P. It gives me it. I don't have to think. I get to focus on what's generating cash flow, which is a big mistake a lot of entrepreneurs make. They like are really good at making money over here, and then they think they're going to invest
Right.
using their entrepreneurial genius, and they tend to lose a lot of money in that process.
The number one investment I make by far is putting money back into the business. So I'm actually trying to get better at that. We used to operate at like pretty crazy margins, like 95% plus margins. And I was like, I'm paying too much in taxes. I could be growing the business a lot more. So we're really expanding our spending. We're probably at like, I don't know, 70% profit margins now. So we increased our spending significantly. But that's by far the highest ROI thing that I put my money into.
And so how do you decide to reinvest versus invest in the S&P? Like what mental framework do you use?
I don't really have them. So priority is, of course, to try and grow the business.
Yeah.
So whatever I need to spend on growing the business, doing new projects, bringing on more people, I'll spend that money. And then the rest, like if I transfer it to my personal account, I'll put my Vanguard account just into boring index stuff.
Yeah.
I also have a Wealthfront account. I invest in crypto. So every once in a while, I'll just buy some crypto.
What type of crypto are you investing in? And is it Bitcoin only, or like how do you decide crypto?
Huge majority is Bitcoin and Ethereum.
Okay.
Mostly Bitcoin, still significant percentage of Ethereum, and then the other stuff, very small.
But are we talking like very small percentage of your portfolio in crypto?
Yeah, it's pretty small. I'd say it's for sure under 10%. I want to guess 5%.
Okay.
5%, yeah.
And then I'm assuming you stay out of real estate as an investment?
I have a condo in West LA with my sister. That's the only real estate I have right now.
And you have no interest in investing?
I do have interest. I've just been slacking on it.
Okay.
So I've been telling myself that I'm going to start buying real estate, smaller units, doing the whole, cost segregation studies thing. But I just
shout out Carlton.
Yes, shout out Carlton.
He'd be proud. Okay, so what are you doing on tax strategies? You live in California. You make high profit business. You make good money. You probably pay your fair share of taxes, I would imagine. What are you doing? Any tax strategies that you'd like to share that you're looking into or doing to keep more of your money?
Yeah, my California tax bill, I was thinking about, I think it's like $500 a day to live here, which like sucks, right? So every time I'm like looking outside on a gloomy day like this, I'm like, why am I?
It should be sunny every day.
It should be sunny every day. Zero rain. I hate rain. But in terms of things that I'm doing, well, I'm not doing too much. Carlton has helped me out with some strategies. So I'm trying to spend more in the business, buy equipment, hire more people. Most of the things that my team is working on, they're not revenue generating right now. So we're working on a lot of new projects, new language channels, stuff like that, that aren't bringing money. That helps lower my net income a bit. In terms of other stuff, so I have a private foundation. So I put some money into that every single year.
You're doing the entities and
different
private family
entities.
foundations. And then obviously real estate. One of the reasons why real estate is such a big asset is because of the depreciation and tax benefits. I think if you stripped the tax benefits out of real estate, there's not a ton of benefits to it. I mean, especially now. I mean, with leverage, you could still make the argument maybe with cash flow, but at the end of the day, the tax benefits are the reason.
Yeah.
One thing I just want to point out is I've interviewed lots of people on the show, and what I love about you is like you just stay in your lane, and you're just like, I put my money in index funds, learn this, you're very humble and yet like you're very successful. And I think some people would be like, watching this and be like, they almost think like they need to be a guru at whatever they do. And it's like, no, you don't need to be an expert at everything, but you're really good at leaning on experts and sticking in your lane. And I think one of the things that is really, really wise that you do is you stay in your lane. And a big mistake that people make, I even see myself making this mistake, is I want to get involved and invest in a lot of things, but that takes you away from your core ability.
Yeah.
And so if you're watching this or listening to this and you have a business and it's working and you want to get distracted and do other things, the encouragement would be figure out what your profit is and then figure out like what it would look like if you reinvested in your business, like not just the percentage, but the actual net dollar growth. And a lot of times if you're growing in business and it's fulfilling to you, you're going to find that it's going to outperform any other investment, and it usually raises the bar for ongoing of your ability to make more.
Yeah.
And so that is a big thing. Obviously, tax strategy is a big thing, especially living in California, but across the board, it's like make money, keep it, and then grow it. And whether it's growing it in your business or growing it outside, a lot of times though, entrepreneurs are very optimistic and they're investing in themselves, but it's just a endless hole. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's the thing that you just need to call people out on, because they're investing in themselves, but you're making the same money every year.
Right.
So it's like, well, that's the ROI of that investment might not be what you think it is.
That's true.
I'm curious, credit card game points. A lot of our friends are gurus when it comes to this. I give myself a C+. I play the game. I don't play it super well, but we'll travel. We'll do some first class flights and hotels. How are you into the credit card game?
Sort of. I'd rate myself maybe like a D.
No, you're probably ahead. I know you have systems for.
Because I actually haven't signed up for a credit card in, man, it's been a while. Like I used to play the whole sign up bonus game. I make content about credit cards, but for me, it's like if I want to add another credit card, it's going to be in my head.
Yeah.
And then like something I have to manage. I have to track the spending to make sure I hit the minimum spend. So I haven't done that really in the last couple of years.
What are some of your favorite cards to use?
I really like a lot of the Chase cards.
Okay.
So I use like Chase
Inc.
Business Unlimited.
Okay. Yep.
That's like my everyday spending card. MX Platinum for some of like the bonus tiers and stuff. Mm-hmm. I still think the whole traveling with points thing is amazing.
Yeah.
Like I've bought flights that I'd never spend that much money on, like if it was cash for that type of flight. It encourages you to do things that you probably wouldn't do if you were to have to buy yourself, right? So
what's some of the biggest money mistakes you've made in your very successful career?
For some reason, I like to buy cars cash. I'd say that's probably not the best way to do it, but for me, it just makes buying cars a little easier because you don't need to sign up for financing, get approved, and all that stuff. If I'd invested the money that I bought my cars with, I'd probably be way ahead. So that's probably one of the big mistakes.
And you enjoy nice cars? I
enjoy nice cars.
You come from a frugal background. What was the mental shift that you had to make, or were you always into nice cars?
I've always loved cars. When I was 9, 10 years old, I knew every car on the road, and I'd annoy my parents by just being like, oh, that's this car, that's this car. We went to all the auto shows. So I've always grown up loving cars. I still think I'm frugal with cars because I only buy cars that retain their value, besides my Range Rover. That one I lost a lot of money on.
Yeah.
But all the other cars, I buy them because I think it's a good store of value. And I think there's room for appreciation in the future.
Yep. Do you remember you did a video that said my 12 sources of income, 296,000? Do you remember?
Yeah, I remember that.
Do you remember all 12?
No.
Okay, what are some of the top ones?
Affiliate marketing, brand deals, paired. Actually, I can't even count paired because I haven't taken out a single cent yet.
Okay. Which is important for people to know. Like sometimes we think starting businesses are just immediate, but you're in growth mode.
Yeah.
And so you're pouring everything back in.
2 years.
Yeah.
And we haven't taken out a single cent.
If you want help, give this guy, we'll include a link down below.
Cool.
And yeah, I have questions that I'm going to talk to you offline on. Just like what I would love to do is share with you like our org chart and different positions. And I might have a limiting belief to think like, hey, like I'm looking for a video producer that can help me like build out news scripts and all. That might be something that can be done overseas. Yeah. For some reason, I like people in person, but you pay a premium. You pay a premium for that. So I think that's something I really admire about you is you understand systems, you keep things simple, and you can scale that way. And I think that if I had to give myself criticism, that's something that I could use a lot of help in, is like figuring out how to scale.
Every business, I feel like, could really use an audit on their team and like their processes and stuff, because there's always inefficiencies, right? You can always optimize. My company, there's for sure definitely a lot of inefficiencies too, but all we can do is just always get like 1% better every single day.
Yep. All right, back to the 12 sources. You have affiliates.
And I mean, in that video, I probably had my real estate company maybe at the time.
Okay.
I was doing mortgages. I was doing photography. Oh, I did like modeling. So I was going out on auditions and doing that stuff. That's an old video.
Okay.
I think I made like newer ones, and it's generally
Yeah.
become less,
The
fewer sources.
you had another video that you did recently saying the unconventional advice for men to get
Oh,
rich.
yeah. I think the gist of it was to live a non-traditional life. So you don't need to do what other people are doing just because they're doing it or what's
Yeah.
normal. I feel like if I had followed what my parents thought was the best route for me, I would not be as happy. I probably wouldn't be as financially successful. My days would be a lot more tied to something else. And yeah, just having like that time freedom has just been amazing. But the trade-off is like you need to do things that most people don't do to have that
Yeah.
type of life.
There's one thing I know is you're hard on yourself. You have high expectations. Was it one of those things? When did you realize like I made this? I'm gonna do just fine, and I'm gonna set other people's expectations aside.
I guess it's pretty recent. I mean, my mom was sending me job listings until not maybe like I say a different answer every time, but not that long ago, like a couple years. So she's always been like trying to look out for me. They don't really have that much experience with entrepreneurship and stuff,
Yeah.
and like these new different ways of making money. They're immigrants from China, so I understand their thinking, but yeah, they're proud of me. They see like the team I've built, the companies, and then like the content,
Yeah.
and yeah, my mom watches pretty much every single video.
One of the things you take health very seriously.
Yeah.
And if we're not healthy, I wouldn't say we're wealthy. It's hard to say someone's wealthy if they're on their deathbed or
Right.
not able to live well. What is your morning routine / just daily routine to stay healthy and think positively?
Yeah. First of all, like wealth goes so much beyond just money. So I'm trying to be a generalist when it comes to wealth in all these different categories, right? I think health is always something that I've enjoyed working on. I've been like going to the gym since I was, I think in 7th or 8th grade. So this is exactly what I do. I wake up, bathroom, brush teeth, whatever, drink water, and then I will go into the room right there, and I have a red light therapy panel that I turn on, and I'll stretch and do abs for about 10 to 15 minutes every single morning. Like I've always had really bad flexibility, and my hip has given me problems. Since I've been doing this, I feel way better. I think flexibility is something that a lot of men do not prioritize, just because stretching it's not fun at all. It hurts. It's boring. But if you set aside a dedicated time to do it, then I think that's when it can become a habit. So that's been huge. And I usually will do a little bit of deep work after that. And then I'll hit the gym. I'll sauna almost every single day. I have a sauna outside in my house. Yeah. I don't count macros. Like my nutrition isn't always amazing, but I'd say working out is the most important.
Another thing that I love following you on Instagram is like you don't post a ton on Instagram, but you'll like post like different takeaways or things that you're thinking about and advice. What's your process, and like when you do deep work, are you journaling? Are you doing deep work in business? And like what kind of books are you reading, and like what are some of the principles and mental frameworks that you're into?
Yeah, I think right now I'm not reading any particular books. I'm reading. I listen to a lot of podcasts and I watch a lot of YouTube, but it's not for entertainment. It's for like learning. I've learned so much from social media by following other people, and if I can help other people that follow me, then I feel like that's a value add where I'm spending hours a day learning and like doing stuff like that. I might as well give takeaways to my audience just to thank them for following me. It also rewriting it helps me as well, right? It reinforces it. I feel like everyone needs to hear things like 1,000 times before it really, really clicks.
Yep.
Not 1,000, but like some
I
high
agree.
number.
You have to hear it at least 8 to 12 times. And yeah, I'm with you. What are some of your favorite books?
Who Not How was one of the ones that helped me a lot in terms of business. I've always loved doing everything myself. And that book was like, nah, you can't do that. Like you have to find people to help you rather than trying to do everything yourself. Because at the end of the day, at the end of the day, you only have 24 hours. You're sleeping for 8 hours. And if you want to do a lot of output, like you can't do it yourself. There's no way. So that was a powerful one. I mean, Rich Dad Poor Dad. That's like I think that's the first finance book I ever read when I was pretty young. My dad made me read it.
Your dad, who's not an entrepreneur,
Yeah,
made you read that.
but he's very smart with money
That's
and investor and stuff like that. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, Rich Dad Poor Dad is one of the books that so many people have read that gave them the permission to think differently and shifted their mindset. And Think and Grow Rich is another book that a lot of people mention. And it's just always interesting to hear what other books that
There's
people.
so many amazing books. I used to think that reading was like dumb. Like I literally tell people, "Oh, I haven't read a book for years," right? And I thought it was cool to say that, but reading it's one of the things you can't skip. Being able to download an entire person's like advice and strategies and whatever for $10 or whatever it costs to get a book,
It's a life hack.
it's just like such a great ROI every time.
Yeah, especially if you can listen to an audiobook versus even a podcast. An audiobook it's designed in such a way where you can listen and get that information in a really succinct way, which is really great. What is some of your favorite YouTube channels right now?
Favorite. So I've been listening to My First Million, the podcast, a lot. I guess there's not really any like people I follow super hard.
Yeah.
It's just whatever shows up on my home screen or whatever shows up in my recently listened to on Spotify.
I love it. All right, Charlie, if you had to start over, you just had a laptop, you know what you know, but you have very little money. We'll say you have $1,000 to your name. What are you doing?
I'm going to start a service business doing something that's very high value for businesses. So let's say AI consulting or something, building out AI automations, whatever. I'm going to start a YouTube channel doing educational content about that subject, giving value to my potential clients. And that's going to bring in leads. And then that's how I'm going to get my customers.
Okay.
I just do that and see where it goes from there.
And then how much do you need to make before you do another thing? Do you have a rule like 6 figures before you start something?
I don't have a rule for that.
Okay.
I just sort of
You just wing it. Okay,
Yeah.
I love that. Okay, when we talk about AI, what are some of the tools that are must right now? And I know that this could be outdated a month from now, so just to be clear, but like what are some of the must tools that people need to learn or what you use right now in building a business?
Yeah, so we use tools like Make AI, that's a good one. Browse AI, that's good for like data aggregation and stuff like that. And then of course N8N, that one's blowing up. That's a great tool to use.
What is that?
It's basically like it's a way to make AI automations, basically with like a drag and drop editor. So it's very powerful. You can host it on your own VPS or computer or whatever. They also have their own cloud subscription you can get, but get that connected to your Gmail, your Excel, your all that stuff, or a Google Sheets, whatever, all these different platforms, and then you can build all these automations that combine all these things. So lots of customizability there. They also have tons of templates that you can use that other people have built, and that saves a ton of time.
Love that.
So I would literally just go there, see what other people have built, brainstorm how that could fit into your own business, and then you can literally just copy and paste them into your own N8N.
How do you decide whether to use AI or delegate to a human?
That's a good question. A lot of stuff that involves more tedious data-driven tasks, I'd say AI is super good for right now. You still need an operator, so that's where having someone overseas or a team member can help you with. Yeah, you need both.
I want to hear your thought process around scaling and protecting your business using different entities and different strategies.
Yeah, I have a bunch of different LLCs, S Corps, C Corps, stuff like that. I think it's important. I mean, I operated for many years without having any business entities, but now whenever I start a new project, I'm going to create one. It's so easy.
Any tips or tricks on like where to begin if someone wants? I know you've made a video on like here's a couple steps on where to start.
Right.
Starting an entity.
Entity formation, you can use a lawyer, you can use a service. I don't think it really matters. You can try to do it yourself.
Yep.
There's tons of services out there that really don't charge that much, and they make sure that you do it correctly. So
you compliant.
I use those. And then there's tax strategies. I encourage everyone, if you're like a newer entrepreneur, to learn about them. Like, what are the benefits of having LLCs? Like, why is that better than a sole proprietorship? When should you move to maybe getting an S corp? When does a C corp make sense? Right. If you want to be a better entrepreneur, like, you should definitely know that stuff.
Learn this stuff. So you have over 50 YouTube channels. That blows my mind alone. So I would love to hear just why that's the case and like how you manage that. But then I also would love to know, like, does each one of those channels have its own LLC? How is that structured?
So we have a ton of YouTube channels. Like I mentioned, I think the media team is almost 50 people. So we have a ton of help. But essentially the team structure is me, and then we have my chief COO. So he's in person. And then he helps to manage a bunch of different project managers. A lot of these project managers, they are assigned different channels that they own. And then those project managers make sure everything gets done, right? Because with YouTube, there's a lot of moving parts. We have a lot of hosts that help us film. It's not just me. And there's thumbnail people, there's video editors, there's descriptions that need to be written, titles, like we're doing A/B testing for thumbnails and titles, building like some info stuff right now. We create a lot of lead gen things. There's a lot going on.
And I know that you probably don't want to name some of the channels, but like, what are some of the niches that these channels are in?
Yeah, we have a ton of niches. We're in like the website creation space, e-commerce, business formation, SaaS reviews. There's a lot of like these.
And a lot of faceless, or like, because you're not doing them all.
I wouldn't call them faceless. We hire hosts that are on camera. So it's not like just voiceover. There's an actual person that helps us create the videos. That's sort of how we structure it.
That's fascinating. Does every YouTube channel have its own LLC, or does it all roll up into one?
Most of them are rolled up into one. We have one S corp. We have another S corp that owns some of the channels, and then the main one also owns some of them. But only 2 S corps that own all the channels. So we don't create a new LLC for each channel because that would be crazy.
Is your game plan to exit and sell these channels, or is it just to keep them cash flowing, or what's the game plan?
I don't really have a game plan.
I just love this.
Like, I would be open to it maybe, but we're just building niche channels basically for affiliates and lead gen, and just to be able to create a lot more like very specific educational videos.
Cool.
Yeah, because on my main channel I can't create a very detailed guide about. Like, it just wouldn't make sense.
What would your recommendation be for the person that does not have an LLC, is doing some side hustles? When should they decide to set up an LLC?
So the legal protection is it's important. Most people probably won't get sued, but you never know. And if you have a lot of personal assets, then of course you want to keep those safe. I'd say it's also a great way to sort of legitimize the business, right? And like, now it's a real living business that you are in charge of. Hopefully it makes you take it more seriously. So that's another added benefit. And then with like the S corp, my rule is like once it makes 40, 50K net, it might make sense to have it be taxed as an S corp or just to create an S corp itself, and you have some of those tax benefits.
Cool. What are some of your biggest business mistakes that you've made? 50 channels. I would imagine things are breaking all over the place, or you've learned to just deal with adversity.
Yeah, well, I mean, we grow pretty fast, so we're always having to sort of switch up the structure of the company. It's not just a few people making videos anymore. It's like we're trying to create an actual media company, really taking systems and SOPs seriously, actually creating team culture. I think it's something that we probably haven't been that strong at before. I've hired the wrong people in the past. That's not so much wasted that much money, but it's wasted time and wasted like energy from me.
Charlie, is there anything else you want to talk about? Anything else that we didn't cover? We covered a lot of things.
I can't think of anything right now. My brain's pretty fried.
Okay. Any questions you have for me before we wrap up?
Shit. I mean, what's your biggest takeaway?
My biggest takeaway is how your brain is okay sticking to what it's good at. And like the S&P is an example of that, of like you stay in your lane and you do your thing and you're trying to figure out what's the greatest ROI for my energy, which is energy could be money, energy could be your time.
Yeah.
And like let's stay in that. The fact that you have 50 YouTube channels and counting, the fact that you have these other businesses, I think is remarkable. And I think it's inspirational, and here's why. Sometimes we feel like it's not attainable, and your story can inspire people to be like, hey, you don't need to necessarily start with 2 entrepreneurial parents that put you in the perfect scenario. Like you can start with nothing and then learn how to create side hustles, learn how to create systems, and then stay in your lane. And so
Sure.
It's very inspirational, man. I'm
Thank
grateful just for you as a friend. Grateful to see where you're going. And I have so many other questions offline. I'm just like, I want to better understand media, because media is an asset.
Media is huge.
Attention's everything, especially if you're in businesses with high value. And I feel like at BetterWealth, we have a lot to offer, and we need to do a better job getting that out into the world. And so, man, I'm grateful for you, and thank you so much for letting us stop by on a whim, essentially,
course. No,
to do this.
It's been fun.
I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
We'll put all your info down below. Is there any special call to actions or anything that you want to make sure to highlight as we wrap this up?
I have social media if you want to check
So
them out.
we'll put the links.
Thank you.
Take care.
All right. All right.